Thanks for joining us here on 90s Plus. I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi. So you probably heard a lot in the last few weeks the term an atmospheric river. Of course, it's led to enormous amounts of flooding in California and also an enormous amount of snow in that state as well. So let's get into some of the reasons why this atmospheric river has led to not only the amount of water that we've seen in the state, but the amount of destruction it's led to there as well, and how it forms. So first of all, let's kind of give you a little bit of an overview and kind of an idea about what an atmospheric river is. Basically what it is at the upper levels of the atmosphere, it's a narrow column of a ton of moisture. So that's hence the term river. Just think of that basically in the air, in a loft. So that's a basic overview of what an atmospheric river is. Then as that air hits the mountains and the western coast of the United States, that air is forced to rapidly rise. It condenses into moisture, and that can produce extreme precipitation like what we've seen in parts of California. I'll have some more context in that here in just a second, but let's help you kind of visualize a little bit more. So an atmospheric river, it tends to take place during the winter months. Now you can kind of see this pipeline of storms moving its way into the western coast of the United States. But usually an atmospheric river, notice how there's a bit of a southerly dip in this. It taps into moisture from the subtropics, from the equator region. And you can see the Honolulu and Hawaii there on the map. Sometimes atmospheric rivers are referred to as the Pineapple Express because often they'll take moisture from Hawaii and from that part of the Pacific Ocean and transport it all the way on up into the west coast of the United States. So again, this is tropical moisture. Think about going to Florida or Texas, coastal Texas during the summer months, how you can get those just huge tropical downpours during the summer months. That same kind of concept, that same kind of moisture is being pushed on up into California, and obviously a part of the country that's just not used to getting tropical moisture per se. So major storm after major storm has been lashing California, and its origin comes from that atmospheric river that I was mentioning. So this major storm, this is one of just several that's been riding this kind of almost train track here of storm systems moving its way into California. So here's what it's kind of ended up leading to. Look at this for us in San Francisco. A 2-week total of about 13 inches worth of rainfall in San Francisco. And by the way, for our Denver friends, for a little bit of context, that is more rain than what Denver sees on average in a calendar year. So when we're talking about 13 inches worth of rainfall, that's about what you see in Denver in a full year. And San Francisco has seen that in the last 2 weeks. On average, San Francisco gets a little less than 20 inches worth of rainfall in a year. So that's about a little less than 3/4 of their average annual rainfall in about 2 weeks there in San Francisco. And again, it's thanks to those atmospheric rivers of moisture continually just pumping in all that rain and all that precipitation into the west coast of the United States. And it's not just rain. Look at this in Mammoth Mountain, California. 330 inches worth of snowfall so far this season. Almost all of that has come in the last month. And for context, that is 27.5 feet worth of snowfall so far this season. There in Mammoth Mountain, California, that is more snow than they got all of last year combined. And that is thanks to, again, this atmospheric river, this narrow stream of moisture that just takes all that moisture and pumps it straight into the west coast of the United States. These sorts of systems are most common between November and March of the calendar year, though they can take place as early as October, even late September, and as late April, sometimes even into early to mid-May. But an atmospheric river, again, is just basically a narrow column of intense moisture that usually links back to the subtropics, including places like Hawaii and the central Pacific Ocean. So hopefully that gives you an idea about what we're talking about here. And normally, that atmospheric river doesn't continually sit over California like it has so far here in the winter of 2022-2023, but it's been just basically nonstop sitting parked right over California, and that's why unfortunately our friends out there seeing so much in the way of rain and mountain snowfall. So hopefully that answers some of your questions about an atmospheric river, what it is, and how it works.